to achieve self-mastery, you have to be in a place where you can listen to yourself.
Hello, and welcome to the Mindset and Self-Mastery Show. I'm your host, Nick McGowan. Today on the show, we have Mark Ross. Mark, what's up, man?
How's it going, my man? Good to meet you. And good to be on your show.
I appreciate you being here.
Yes, sir.
We've chatted a little bit through email back and forth, even to the point where I was asking, how's the kitchen renovation going? And like, how's life and things, you know?
Man, I'm so glad that, Nick, we're done with that thing, man. I'm telling you, my house was in total disarray for about 2 to 3 weeks, man. And now we're having some woosah time. We can breathe. You know what I'm saying? We're finalizing putting things back to where it needs to be, getting new stuff, putting that where it's supposed to be, and the kitchen is looking beautiful. It's a beautiful kitchen now. So yeah. Thank you for asking that though.
Yeah, of course. Well, shit, even 2 to 3 weeks, that's a good thing. There have been people I've been into their house like, haven't you been working on this since like, shit, when did you buy this? 3 years ago?
Man,
God,
man.
What do you just change everything?
Hey,
but
man.
I also understand some people like really love the projects of those things. I grew up in a house where like my dad was always outside doing stuff and he would seem to like wreck things to then like redo them. And part of it was like the engineer in him, but I'd be like, why did you break it? To then redo it or whatever. But we all have those little things we like to do. I have a renovated fifth wheel. That's our tiny house. And there's always things that we're kind of working on and tweaking.
Nice.
You make some big changes with it, like going from a septic to a composting. It's a wild thing. But man, why don't you kick us off? Tell us what you do for a living and what's one thing most people don't know about you that's a little odd or bizarre?
I am the host of the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. My podcast centers around mental health, community issues, and wellness topics. I am a Marine Corps veteran and I suffer from PTSD. My journey from that, it led me to, and we could talk about this later on, but the sweet and short of it is that my experiences of ups and downs, suicidal thoughts, depression, and loss, it all led me to self-discovery. And once I started going to counseling and breaking down and admitting that something was wrong with me, it led me to understand that I'm not the only one that's going through this. There's a lot of people that's going through mental health issues and they're going through it silently. So my mission was to create this platform so that people can speak their truth. That's why I titled my platform To Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross. So that's that. One thing that people don't know about me, again, was my journey. They don't know my journey, my true journey. And the journey from not wanting to be here anymore, the journey of me being depressed for so long, just having a reckless lifestyle and just not giving a shit at some point in my life. And, you know, I put on that smile. I learned to smile and nod. Hi, everybody. Hey, I'm cool. But I'm drinking a lot. Hey, everybody, I'm cool. But, you know, there's days that I don't want to be here anymore. You know, I've learned to put the mask on. And I had it on for a long time, and I can admit that right now.
It's a beautiful thing to be able to admit that. It's also a fucking weird yet beautiful thing to be able to go through dark times to then get to the point where you start to discover who you are, how you are. It's kind of fucked up, but it makes total sense where it's like when you're in a really, really dark spot and you're going through the deepest of the deep, that's where you can really heal. And that's where you're the most open and vulnerable to that. And people really push themselves away from it. And it's fucked up that we have to do that. Air quotes with that of like, we have to in certain ways because people will look at you a certain way or they'll think of you a certain way. And those are all interpretations and the way that we think life should be. And at the same time, other people sometimes really can't handle if they go, well, how are you? Fucking terrible. life sucks right now. I don't want to be here. Last night I held a knife to my arm for 15 minutes and like, they'd be like, "Why, are you fucking kidding me?" And some of them could think the same thing, but not want to share that. And different people of different cultures or even different levels of leadership and different spots in life have to wear that mask, or so they feel they have to wear that mask to be able to be in those spots. I've never been in the military. There are certain things that I think about where I had friends that got into the army or the military like as soon as high school was out because they were like, I don't fucking know what to do. And this guy keeps badgering me and they tell me that I'll get money or whatever. And next thing you know, here I am.
Yes.
And there are other people that like fought against it. I was one of those people that was like, no, I am not going to do that. You actually don't want me in the army. Like, believe me, I'm not the right one. And my mom had to like tell off the army recruiter because he kept like harassing us. She's a 5 foot, like 115-pound redhead that would kick some ass and just went off on this person. And there was a part of me that was like, it sucks that we have to do that. But there's also people that will fit within military or whatever the thing that they go through. But you all that go through that, go through some shit. Yes. I worked with a guy years ago who was a sweetheart, but he was fucked up. And he was just such a good dude. And you could tell that he cared, but there were dark things behind his eyes that he could never talk about. Mm-hmm. And then years passed. I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I found out that he was murdered. And I have no idea what happened. He didn't take his own life, but I could imagine he put himself in a spot, knowing of what I knew of him. And all those decisions just accumulate. And you make those decisions over and over and over, where you've taken what you've gone through to then go, all right, well, I need to, for my own healing, have these conversations. And for other people's healing, have these conversations. But why don't we take a bit of a step back, man? Talk to us about your journey into the military, out of the military, and then through those dark times to where you're at.
When I was in high school, because like you said, I did go to the Marine Corps after high school. So as a junior, I thought to myself, what am I going to do when I get done with high school? Because I didn't want to go to college at the time. I was just, excuse me, I was just done with school. Living in Milwaukee, it didn't present a lot of opportunities for me or people that looked like me unless I went to school. But school just wasn't my thing. So I said, I'm going to try the military. I want to go out and travel. I want to meet people. And I just want to enjoy life. So I go to the Army. I remember this vividly. I went to the Army. I took the ASVAB test and I didn't pass it. So I said, okay, I'll try the Marines. So I went to the Marine Corps recruiter, took the test again, and I passed it. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's continue. So in my senior year, I asked my recruiter, I said, look, man, I want to know what I'm going to expect when I arrive in San Diego, California, after graduation. And his face changed on me, and his words became more direct. Because I asked him to be upfront, and this man that's usually jovial, cool, calm, he changed. And he looked at me and said, you really want to know what to expect? I said, yeah. I'm like, it's not going to change my mind. I'm going through with it. But I just want to know what to expect so I can be mentally and physically prepared. He said, have you been working out? I said, here and there. He said, I'm going to tell you something. You can work out every day from here to your first day there, and it won't be enough. It won't be enough. He said, they're going to push you harder than you've ever been pushed in your life. They're going to call you every name but a child of God, and they're going to be merciless. And he was right. He was right. Nick, I was in boot camp for 3 months. Right after I finished, they increased it to 4 months. that period of time was the worst 3 months I've ever had in my life. And I'm 55. The worst, yeah, it was the most physically excruciating time I've ever had in my life. And crazy, this is crazy for me to say, but I wouldn't change it. You know, I wouldn't be the person that I am right now if I didn't go through that hell. Uh, and sometimes going through hell, as I'm learning as I'm getting older, Nick, it 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 creates it can create a better version of you. It can create a more authentic version of yourself because now that you went through this hell, you're still here. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. And I'm stronger. Not only physically, but I'm stronger mentally because now I'm able to deal with shit from a better perspective. Because I know what I went through. And what I went through wasn't cool at all. And to add insult to injury, brother, the drill instructors didn't like me at all. They did not like me at all because I, and I was told this, I exuded something that they didn't see in any of the other recruits. They saw in me uh leadership. They saw stubbornness, but I wasn't stubborn just to be stubborn. I knew when I knew when I was dealing with bullshit, and my facial expressions knew, it told them, hey, you on bullshit, but I got to do this because you telling me to do it. But my face is letting them know I'm on your bullshit. And they hated that in me. I even got threatened. I got threatened a few times when I was in boot camp, Nick. One of the guys that I really despise this dude. He told me, anytime, any place, we can go outside right now. I'll whoop your motherfucking ass. And I said, oh, what? Now, mind you, I'm at this time, Nick, I'm 18 years old. I'm a buck 90. He was a little bit solid than me, but shorter. And he was older, so I knew he had the jump on me just because of who he was. I knew he had the jump on me, but I wasn't scared of this punk. That's the part that shook him. I wasn't scared of this dude at all. I knew he had the advantage. Older, he's a sergeant in the Marine Corps, drill instructor, so I know he knows shit, right? I know that. But fuck that dude. I didn't care. So, and he knew this, but if I would have went outside and faced this dude, I knew that my military career would have been over. Regardless if I would have whooped his ass or he whooped mine, my shit would have been over. So I took the high road. I didn't say nothing. I just looked him dead in his eye. I'm like, hey, I'm cool, bro. I know what you're trying to do, but it ain't gonna happen, bro. But if I saw him out here right now, I'll probably be on his ass. And that's keeping it 100. But going through all that, Nick, it really it created that killer in me, man. It brought out that dog. I come back from boot camp, man, and my relatives would tell you right now if they were sitting here, he came back a different person. He came back with that dog because I was ready to fight at any given time, bro. Drunk, sober, high, I didn't care, man. I was ready because that's what I was trained. That's what I was trained for. That's what the Marines do. We fight. We don't give a fuck. We fight. And I was ready to fight. It put that dog in me, man. So I came back with that dog. The problem was I didn't know how to turn that dog off. You feel what I'm saying? That's where the PTSD came in because I still was walking around with that dog. I'm like that pit bull, bro. Don't poke the dog because I bite. I bite. And I don't give a shit because if you gonna poke me, you deserve to get bit. You deserve to get bit, and I'm gonna bite your ass. So here we go, man. I mean, I'm 21, just started college. And I don't mean to get on this little tangent, but I just want to share my story with you. 21 years old at the time. I get out. I'm going to school. Everything is okay so far. But in the spring, I said the spring of '92, because I was in the Marines from 1987 to 1991, right? I got out in August of '91. I started school like right after, like around September. I started attending school here in Milwaukee. Springtime '92, I started to experience nightmares, military related nightmares, and I would wake up screaming, right? Like I'm battling for my life. And this started to happen on a daily basis. And I didn't know why these nightmares were happening to me, but it was happening every night. Military related dreams, everything, it would start off great. I'm having fun with, friends or whatever. And next thing you know is I'm in the forest. I got my gun. I got the knife on my gun. I got my gear on, my backpack, and I'm fighting for my life. It always ended with me fighting for my life. Always. And I was always falling from ridiculous heights. And every time I would hit the ground, I would just wake up screaming, you know. And I mean, not only was I screaming, I was sweating profusely. Like the bed would just be wet. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I would wake up, my face would be like I ran a marathon. My body, I mean, I'm soaked from my head to my underwear. I'm fighting for my life, man, and this is an everyday issue. So I'm battling that. I'm drinking more because I wanted to sleep. So I figured, why not drink more? Drinking puts you to sleep. So I'm drinking more. My grades, suffered a little bit, but I was able to maintain. I'm working a part-time job. You know, I'm thinking in the back of my head, like life could be better for me, but I mean, it is what it is. Still having the nightmares, brother, and I'm still drinking, and nothing's helping. I'm still dealing with the nightmares, and now I have a borderline drinking issue because I wasn't drinking every day, but when I did drink, I drank a lot. I wasn't an angry drunk. I just wanted to drink to numb the pain, if that makes sense. So I'm drinking more. The nightmares are still happening. I'm starting to withdraw from people because I just grew tired of being around people. I realized, like, physically I was here in Milwaukee, but mentally I'm still back in North Carolina because I was stationed at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. So my mind, I'm still a Marine. I still got that dog up in here, and the dog is out. I couldn't control the dog. You dig? So I hid from people. I withdrew a little bit. I started doing things by myself. Like I would go out to clubs by myself, and I just get fucking wasted. Wasted. Then the suicidal thoughts came in, like, man, this isn't a way for me to live. I don't want to be here if I have to live like this. So I'm driving drunk, Nick. I'm driving drunk on purpose. I'm doing this shit on purpose. Like I want to check out, but I couldn't do it on my own. So I'm trying to check out on purpose. So from Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Thursday, I would just get fucking wasted. Go to the club, whatever. If something good came out of that, something good came out of that. If not, whatever. I'm driving home drunk. I can tell you this. I don't know how I made it home sometimes. I do not know how I made it home. It was God, brother, because I would get in the car, leaving the club or the bar or wherever I was at, and I would black out. I would come to my senses when the car is parked. How did I get home from halfway across the city? How? I could not tell you. But God is my witness. That has happened to me a lot. I'm driving to the crib, don't know how I got there. Like, well, it wasn't my time. I'm gonna try again. Fuck it. It was Friday. I made it home Friday. Saturday, oh, I'm getting real fucked up Saturday. Oh, I don't want to remember nothing. And that was my life for a couple of years, man. In my 20s, on the weekends, I don't want to remember nothing. How I got home, I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to remember nothing. I want the pain to go away. So throughout my 20s and most of my 30s, I'm dealing with these nightmares, man, and I'm isolating because I don't like people. I don't trust people. I don't trust myself. I'm still dealing with this depression and the suicidal thoughts here and there. And brother, it was a mess. And I've learned to hide it because number one, whenever I got drunk or whatever around people, I just became the life of the party. But they didn't know that I was in pain, man. I didn't want to be here. You know, I didn't want to be here, Nick. So fast forward some years later, I'm a corrections officer now. I wasn't as bad with the drinking and the driving, but the nightmares were still occurring. Not as much as it was then, but they were still occurring. A coworker of mine he was an army veteran, and he pulled me to the side and he asked me if I was okay. And I'm like, what kind of question is that? He just asked me out the blue, and he showed me this pamphlet, Nick, and it was a pamphlet that had. He said, just read the pamphlet. If you experience any of these symptoms that are in this pamphlet, go to the VA and get help. Okay, so I go through the pamphlet, and it was a pamphlet about PTSD. Now, back in the Vietnam era, it wasn't called PTSD; it was called shell shock. PTSD wasn't even a thing. So even then, people were going through what I went through when I got out. Didn't notice. So I go through this pamphlet. I'm looking at the symptoms. Boom, 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 boom. It's like 12 to 15. Nick, I can tell you, I went through about 12. I said, damn, I'm fucked up. I'm fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And it was a hard pill for me to swallow because when he came back to me, he said, Ross, we went by our last names. He said, Ross, man, did you read that pamphlet I gave you? I said, yeah. I said, I went through most of this shit, man. I'm still going through some of it. He was like, number one, number one, go get help. Number two, get paid for your injuries, mental or physical. This is going to lead us to a different type of conversation right here. And this is something that I do push. If there's anybody out here that's listening to this, if you are a veteran and you have been hurt or or have went through something traumatic like I did, you can get compensation for your troubles. You deserve it. You went through hell. Get paid for your hell that you went through. Don't let the VA shut you down for something that you went through for them. You take your ass to the VA and get help. If you broke a bone, if you got PTSD like I do, or worse, if you've attempted suicide because of the struggles that you went through during the military time, get help, brother, and get paid for your suffering. And here's a rule, Nick, I want to share. If the VA doesn't tell you, you have to ask, because if you don't ask, they won't tell you shit. They won't tell you shit. That's something that I had to get put on game about, Nick. The VA won't tell you shit. They'll tell you the superficial stuff. But when it comes to getting compensation for your pain and your injuries, oh no, shh. We ain't gonna tell him that unless he asks. But how the hell he gonna ask if he don't know?
If you don't know, yeah, the fuck?
You did?
That doesn't make any sense.
It don't make no sense. So I went through the steps and I got the help. Nick, that was the best decision I've ever did in my life. Getting help, man, because as I said earlier, this could be a whole different conversation. I wouldn't be here. You would be talking to somebody else if I didn't get the help, because it made me understand that, yes, Mark, you are dealing with something that's beyond your control. You are dealing with something that could freaking kill you. And for what? Don't stay hit. Don't hide in the shadows, brother. You got to get up out of there. There's an old saying that if you sit in shit too long, it'll stop smelling. So get up out of there. Get your ass up out of there and get help. Because there's a lot of people out here that are nose blind. There's a lot of nose blind people out here that are sitting in their own shit and they don't even know that they're sitting in it. So I'm here to tell you, you might be sitting in your shit a little too long, brother or sister. Time to get up out of there and get help.
It's real difficult for people at times, even throughout the conversations I have, people I've coached in the past, people I've mentored, people I've just had random conversations with, because part of the reason even having the podcast, I just naturally fucking have conversations like this stuff. Like, it's hard to be surfacey on things. But there's difficulty in all of that for every single one of us. And if we didn't go through a hell of a boot camp, it doesn't matter if the trauma is a little T, a tiny little T, a big ass T. It's all the same thing. And our body
Trauma's trauma.
Really, yeah, and our body keeps a score of all of that. And it lives within ourselves.
Indeed.
It lives within what we do and how we move through things.
Yes, sir.
And it can take that level of awareness. Like, even for somebody who's listened to this episode, the fact that they took the step to be able to listen to this is a beautiful step, because it can be easy to go, fuck it, I don't want any of that. I just want to be a recluse. So I want to do whatever. I want to do all these things. And we can go through different things. Like you've talked about going through boot camp, having that, like that anger and that hatred and that fire that's inside of you that could then be kind of alchemized and turned into something beautiful. It could also be villainized and turned into something that's venomous and kind of attacks. And going through the thing where you're like, I'm just going to drink myself stupid to just be numb and drive crazily and all of that. I've never been through the military. I've never done anything like that, but I had an alcohol addiction for a long time, and I would justify it in certain ways. And even if we remove alcohol from it, there's other justifications that we as people will do. Like we'll say, well, I'm in this relationship, either a business relationship or a romantic relationship or a friendship or a working relationship, and you start to make justifications with things where we've got to be able to be honest with ourselves. We got to wade through that shit to be able to do it. It's been rough what you've gone through, and you're right. If you ended it, it would have been a different story. If I ended it the different times that I tried, you wouldn't be on this podcast, because this thing wouldn't be a thing. And all of that, I think, ties back into purpose. Like, there are oftentimes I talk to people about purpose, and there are sometimes where people are like, yeah, well, I don't know if my purpose is the size of Steve Jobs or Oprah's or whatever. It's like, that's cool. That's fucking their purpose. That has nothing to do with you. Yours is whatever it is. And yours might be the podcast. It might be something that happens in another 15, 20 years. It might be something you do at 80. You know, it might be something that's vastly different from where you're at. But all of us keeping on with it and keep moving through things, sometimes that's just the most courageous fucking thing we can do. It's just, this sucks, but okay, here I am, and continue to move through it. Man, I appreciate you getting as deep and as consistent as you have throughout all of this. I think you really hit your point on a lot of this, and I appreciate you bringing the stuff up about the VA benefits. Part of me wishes I had gone through that, because I can't actually go back to my parents and people have fucked me up as a kid and go, can you pay for this stuff? Because like, though there are times where I've joked with my dad, like he said shit, he's like, you take that to therapy. I'm like, yo, dude, you pay for other people's therapy. You want to fix mine?
Fix yours, yeah.
Like, I've got bills that need to pay for a couple different coaches and subconscious processing, all this other shit. And he's just like, yeah, okay. And some of that is tongue in cheek, but also at the same time, like, that's a thing for veterans, that you guys have been through a lot of shit. And whether it was called shell shock, PTSD, PTSS now, these are all the same things that people have been going through for fucking eons. There's been war, there's been hatred, there's been all of this. And even if we remove that, there's still been shit that people go through on just the daily, just working through life in general. So for somebody that's on their path towards self-mastery, what's the advice you'd give to them?
To achieve self-mastery, you have to be in a place where you can listen to yourself, learn from the mistakes that you've made, admit that you made mistakes, learn from the successes in your life, because it's not a one-sided coin to self-mastery or self-discovery, as I like to put it. It means learning and appreciating the L's that you take in life as well as the wins. What can you take away from the L's? What can you take away from the wins? How can I be better tomorrow than I am today? That is the process of learning what self-mastery is. And once you achieve that level of understanding, you are now equipped mentally and or spiritually even to help others, which is why I'm here and you are here, because you had that aha moment, maybe twice. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We've had those moments, right, where we say, you know what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
What the hell am I doing?
The timeout moments.
Yeah. What am I doing? You know, the only person that's hurting from this is me. That's truly hurting. I mean, you're hurting other people in the process, but you got to start from you. And one thing I'm learning too, Nick, we have to give ourselves grace. It's okay to mess up, man. It's okay to not get it right away. It's okay. But just keep trying. We have to keep trying. Don't give up, man. Don't give up. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep applying the lessons that you've learned along the way.
It's a great way to put that. Some of the most difficult part of it is the continuance of the walk and continuing to move along. And I'm really glad that you had even said you're hurting yourself, but you are also hurting others. And hurt people hurt other people. But as we work on our own stuff and we start to work through those things, it can be really difficult. I've had conversations even specifically with my mental health coach where I'm like, fuck, man, the more self-aware I become, the more fucking self-aware I become. And the more aware you become of this stuff, the more aware that you understand that things are happening. But simultaneously, on the other side of it, the more that you can see that you can do things with it. But it is that ongoing process with all of this. And for those that are listening, I hope you understand that we're both not sitting here saying like, we've achieved this thing, because we fucking haven't.
Right.
Like it's not a matter of achievement in that sense. It's a matter of continuance.
Yes,
yeah, it's fucking moment by moment with that. So, man, Mark, it's been awesome to have you on. I appreciate you sharing everything. I appreciate you going through this stuff and being able to take the steps that you've been taking to be courageous, to have these conversations, have conversations with other people, and be able to help how you can. So along that line, where can people find you and where can they connect with you and the podcast?
I'm on YouTube. The Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross is on YouTube. You can reach me at Speak Your Truth PC pc@gmail.com. It's all one word. Speak Your Truth PC@gmail.com. So you can email me, hit me up on YouTube, go to my channel. You can reach me on Facebook. My name, Mark Ross. You can look me up. I'll accept it. And you can just send me a message and we'll just connect from there if you have a story that you'd like to share.
Awesome. Again, Mark, it's been a pleasure to have you on today. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my brother.